Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Figured I'd bring you my little incident now that things are a little more calmer 3 or 4 days later. Truck. Boom. I kind of pulled this panel back a little. It was really pushed up into there. I had to loosen the screws. I was trying to fix the gap here, but to open the door, it's a pain. It rubs right there. I don't know. I'm not going to worry about it. Insurance can fix that. Paint too. Have to open the door occasionally because you have a passenger. So I force it open, and it's not bending it or anything. It's just the paint rubbing right there. So they can fix that. It's all part of the wreck. They can see how that kind of flares out. Paint there, the scrape there, still stuff from the wreck. I'm not going to really wash it, but that's why I'm also documenting it. The headlight is completely shattered inside. It still works, but like you see there, there's a piece. And then my good bumper withstood the impact, and I'll explain the impact coming up here. Probably do it with the photos that I took at the time so we can show you the other person's vehicle. But the bumper, aftermarket bumper, handled pretty well. Got some rubbing on the light there, fog light, but that was all part of the bumper package. Got a big in the metal scrape. I mean, it's actually indented. His vehicle dragged across there. Wasn't a front end collision, as you can see from back here. Not a front end collision. So here's the other damage. Right here, you can see it here, swiping the bumper. Boom. The swipe marks go that way, and then here and hit there. This is actually broke too, and just not as bad. There's a piece down here. The mounts are broke, just not as bad as the other side. Obviously the grill here is also kaput. And so this is what happened. A brief overview, and then I'll go through with pictures, so the video might be a little long, but just to make it short at the beginning, so then you can end it if you want. He changed lanes. I was in the right lane, he was in the left lane. A 2023 Yukon, a guy driving, and he had a client in the vehicle too, and he was in a hurry to get onto the interstate. So he came up alongside me here, came up, sped up drastically, and then just moved over. In his back, he wasn't clear yet, his back, boom, so the side of his vehicle got hit. Boom. So as you can imagine, getting like, I guess it would be like the pit maneuver done. He comes across, boom, hits, and then it's pushing his vehicle this way, right? Now facing that way. Well, he overcorrects and swings the vehicle to this direction, which this happened in a blink of an eye. This is how this scraped across. I mean, it's indented in there. This is steel. It indented the bumper. So something from his vehicle, and I kind of vaguely in my mind remember him, like his vehicle kind of lifting up. It came across, and then as I was applying the brakes, but I didn't drastically hit the brakes because we were in heavy traffic, that's when this here, side damage, you can see the scrapes all the way up to here, see the rub marks and stuff, hit his driver's side, pushing that in. And like I said, the bumper did a great job. It is kind of tilted, but whatever. I guess I'll get a new bumper, or maybe that can be fixed. I don't know. Once it's taken off, we'll see. Have to see. I know the grill mounts are broke, so I'll be getting a new grill, be getting a new hood, be getting a new panel here, headlights, probably this trim stuff too. So this, probably all this. I'm sure there's stuff broke, that headlight. Now this door does pushes back to right here now. You can see the paint's wearing, but I got to get in and drive it, unfortunately. So it is what it is. So I think that will just probably be, you know, I think this panel's fine, but I'm not a professional, so once they go in and see, that means they'll have to paint there and trying to blend everything together from old paint to new paint and what have you. And yeah, that's basically it. So we'll go in and I will look at pictures and show you those on the screen as I talk about what happened, and we'll go back over it. So we're inside now. I'm going to show you the pictures, and I'll have those on the screen here, and I'm going to discuss them. So picture one of my truck is the front of my vehicle. As you can see, no straight on, head on collision happened. It's important because Mr. Limo Driver here is saying that I rear-ended him. It's on the side of his vehicles. So seeing as I already did a walk around and you saw my vehicle, I'm going to go ahead and show you his vehicle. So first impact site. First impact site, as you can see with that photo, he and the bottom, look at the drag marks. So pretty good distance up the bumper. He came over, boom, and then he hit my driver's side front bumper, and then that kind of pushed in with the headlight and all that, and causing the headlight to break, and it just scraped against his bumper. As you can see the scrape marks, you can see that pattern there. So there's the pattern, and obviously broke his rear tail light, you know, because those vehicles have, all vehicles nowadays have such big tail lights. So broke that. So then we're going to look at the back of his vehicle, because we'll go around. So back of his vehicle, and there's the back. You can notice no direct impact from the back. So he came over, boom, started going sideways, which is understandable. Started going, spinning sideways, right, with his passenger front going to the right. He overcorrected and came all the way around, which caused that drag mark, as you can see with the circle, the drag marks across my bumper, as then he overcorrected, and we all still have momentum. This is happening in a blink of an eye, right? Hindsight 2020, oh, you could slow down, you could do this, you could do that. There's traffic all around us. There's traffic in the right lane to turn right on Struthers. This happened westbound on Northgate Boulevard, if you know where that's at, here north of Colorado Springs. It's actually, that intersection is a poor intersection, so if you get in a wreck there, oh my God, it's a hassle to call somebody because it's on the line. It's right on the line. Colorado Springs Police Department, because it happened just before, like we were at the intersection. I would say, if you know how long a Yukon is or my pickup truck is, we were probably like one car length, one truck length, maybe 1.5 from the intersection. So he was changing lanes at the intersection, which you're not supposed to do. It's a solid white line. So I'm in the right straight lane, he's in the left straight lane, and there's a turn lane. Bunch of traffic in the turn lane, bunch of traffic in front of me, and behind me, in front of him, and behind him, and he decides he needs to get over. And I found out why, because he's a limo driver. First thing he told me is he came up and he tried to hand me his information, and I was on the phone with 911, and he wasn't on the phone with 911. I was on the phone with 911, and he says, I have somebody in the back. I have to get to the airport. I don't know if he said client or how exactly. I have to get to the airport. I'm in a hurry. Well, that's why he got in a wreck. He's in a hurry. He needed to go northbound on I-25 like I did. I was going home, one exit, and he needed to get over. Why he didn't get behind me earlier, I don't know. I don't know why he didn't get behind me earlier. He decided to come up and then change lanes at the intersection. So first impact happened like a truck length from the intersection. As he overcorrected and swung that beast around, I mean, it came around, I saw the freaking side of it just about, and that's when I still had momentum, changing me here, him now here, going sideways. I hit him. It wasn't a great impact. I mean, I didn't feel anything. I stayed in control of my vehicle, stayed in my lane. That's how I've been trained to do with various courses in the past, to just, you know, stay in your lane, you know, don't swerve. See, too many people want to like swerve, avoid the right. Well, I don't know, I only hit the guy next to me, hit the guy to the right of me, slam on the brakes, get a rear end collision. Could the, and the poor person behind me that had nothing to do with this idiot now is involved, and yeah, it would be their fault for following too closely and what have you, but why am I going to involve? Right now, it's one vehicle. He did regain control, but he lost control. I mean, he was sideways, and I lightly hit. I mean, it wasn't that, you know, we had slowed down. It was enough speed still that it caused damage. And, you know, it's sheet metal. I mean, the stuff, plastic and sheet metal bends easy, right? I mean, it's not a great force where you see my bumper is like pushed in or anything. You don't see that. And worse, my bumper just kind of got like a little cockeyed tilted, you know. That, you know, okay, that's 2 mounting points under there. So it kind of just bent that, tilted it. But the bumper itself did not get bent, as you can see. So then here's the damage to his side. His side vehicle, you can see, it's completely on the side. Now he says I rear-ended him. How did I rear-end you in both spots? I laughed at that. I was like, well, then how did you, that spot and that spot, you know, how did you get these spots if I rear-ended you? That wouldn't occur. If it was a rear end, boom, it's going to be a rear end. Now you might be, well, what if it was off to the side? Well, then boom, it would have been offside. It would have been one side of the vehicle. Nothing indicates in the pictures that it was me hitting. I guess he wants to roll the dice, because the last thing he told me, and I'll tell you a little bit more about the story, and sorry for the length of the video, but if you're ever in a wreck, you probably need to know all this, but a little more, he at the end he told me, well, you know, why argue about it? We're just going to have them investigate it. So he's rolling the dice and hoping it comes out in favor for him. Now, he was on the phone the whole time in Russian. Now, you might, how do you know Russian? Because I lived in Moscow, Russia. It turned out he is from Russia, because I asked him, I said, are you from Russia? And he kind of was hesitant, because obviously what's going on in the world, he said, and I apologize for calling him names and stuff at the beginning, because I was upset. My daughter in the car, you know, you get worked up, and I was upset. I apologize for that. I said, you're Russian? And he goes, yes. I said, oh, I lived in Moscow. He goes, oh, I'm from Moscow. So, you know, I thought that was good. So a little bonding moment there. And I look at him and I say, so you're not going to lie about this now, because he's already told me that's my fault. And he goes, what do you mean? I was already in the lane. You might have felt like you were in the lane because you're in such a long vehicle, but you were not in the lane at all. You came over onto me. I didn't know you were going to do that. You did it so quickly. And then he has a dash cam, and it shows that he came over. We'll see what happens there. But, you know, I kind of laugh about that. Like, you have a dash cam, it shows what happened, so what are you arguing? So the part I also want to get into with you now is police. So how it worked was I called 911. As I'm on with 911, they're like, oh, just exchange information, blah. I'm like, I really want a police report. He's like, oh, it might take a couple hours, blah, blah, blah. We're going back and forth. The fire department, I go, well, hold on. The fire department is showing up. We got one fire truck, one ambulance, and we got the, like the chief pickup truck, red pickup truck. So we got 3 emergency vehicles on scene. 911's like, oh, well, I'm like, I don't know who called. So somebody called, maybe somebody that witnessed. I don't think it was the Russian guy. He was too busy on the phone on Russian when he was talking, and then too busy getting his client like another limo to go. So somebody paid a lot of money to be in a limo, got in a wreck. I don't know, who knows? He probably didn't make it to the airport on time if they were in a hurry. They were probably running behind is what I'm guessing. But the the fire truck shows up. We're pulled over along on Northgate after the intersection. Both our vehicles, he had regained. I had maintained control. I never swerved or had an issue. You know, I just don't think that's the right thing for somebody to do, is swerve. That's when you get into unknowns. You swerve your vehicle, you lose control, you hit somebody else. You see dash cam videos of that all the time. you're not supposed to swerve. And if there's heavy traffic, you don't jam on the brakes and cause a freaking pileup either. So I applied the brakes, but there was still enough there that just, boop, got him. You know, I don't know. I wasn't looking at the speed at that time. I'm guessing, I think we were going like 40 miles an hour, probably dropped down to 25, 20, and that's what happened, you know. He still got a little boop, and then regained, pulled over. I pulled over behind him, and yeah, I called 911. Called 911, and they, like I said, they were saying just exchange information. Then the fire showed up, and they were like, oh, we'll talk to them and see what is going to happen. If they showed up, the police are going to show up. Oh, okay. So much help for 911, right? So then I talked to the chief. He comes out, any injuries? No. He goes up to the guy, any injuries? No. So he comes back to me, and he goes, you know, let's move the vehicles up to the 7-Eleven on Struthers. So we move the vehicle to up, go around the traffic circle, come back, turn left off Northgate on Struthers Road, and then turn left, did like a little U-turn, and then into 7-Eleven per the, I'm guessing the chief of the fire department's orders. So we go up there, and he's like, cops are going to be here in like 2 minutes. They're on their way. Hour and 40 minutes later, nothing. So then I call 911, because 911 said call back if anything changes. So, well, the main reason why I called back was because I'm sitting there. My buddy came down. He, you know, if I needed, after my daughter could give a statement to the police, then she could go home, you know, type thing. You know, I was picking her up from school, do this every day, all week long. So this is my normal routine, right? And so my buddy Aaron comes down, Fairface Veil Productions. He comes down, and, you know, we're just talking. We notice this guy's gone. I'm taking more pictures of his vehicle. I'm walking around. I see he doesn't have a front license plate. Colorado, that's required on all vehicles to have a front license plate. Took a picture of that. Then I noticed, well, he has limo tinting. Maybe he couldn't judge the distance. So, okay, pointed that out to insurance when I wrote everything up. What else was there? I feel like there was one more thing there. Oh, the other thing came later, but okay. So the limo tint, you know, maybe he just didn't notice how far he was and couldn't see through his window well enough and collided with me, changing lanes. You know, maybe he thought he had enough. Maybe he was bowling his way over. I don't know. I mean, it's a possibility he was just rolling the dice. Like, I jam on the brakes because he was coming over. Well, I didn't know he was going to come over and hit me. So we notice this guy's gone. Like, he's not in the vehicle. He's nowhere to be seen. My daughter goes inside, looks for the guy. He's not there at the 7-Eleven. Have no idea. Last time we saw him, he had wandered off on his cell phone. Oh, you might be asking what happened with this passenger. In the meantime, they got somebody else, came, picked him up, and he left. I have some photos of that guy. Probably paid a lot of money for the limo ride to the Denver airport. He probably doesn't want to be involved. He might not even be from this country. I don't even know what's going on with him. And we notice this guy's gone. So I call 911, and I'm like, hey, you said to call back if anything changed. They look it up. Oh, okay, you're the brown truck involved with the black SUV. Yeah. So I go, well, the thing is, driver just up and left. Like, he was on the phone. He was hanging around here forever. His client got picked up. He then he walked off. Like, I have no idea where he went. Guy's like, oh, wow, that, you know. So, because that changes things drastically. This guy just up and left. Like, what the hell? Well, he's lucky like a cop didn't show up during time he just left for 30 minutes or what. He was gone for quite a while. And I was like, he hasn't been around. And it turned out, I guess he was just walking around on his phone. Whoever he was talking to in Russian the whole time, he left and he came back around, and I was like, I think he just showed back up from the other direction. And it was like, oh, maybe he went over to Starbucks. That's a possibility, but I think he was just walking around on the phone, which, man, if a cop would have showed up and he wasn't around, they would have been like, what the heck? You know, you can't just be wandering off like that. So during that, though, when I said he came back, I said, well, the police haven't showed up. It's been an hour and a half. Can we exchange information? He was like, well, you got to call this number, call Colorado Springs Police Department, because that's who's handling it, and talk to them. So he gave me a number. I jotted it down. Always have a pen, paper in your vehicle, because you might need to jot this stuff down. So I jotted it down, and then I immediately called. And I talked to a nice lady, I assume dispatch or something, went through their phone tree, talked to her. She said, yeah, you can just leave that. That would be fine. You're so far out there. It's on the north side. That's like the boundary for us. It might be a few more hours before we get out there. Well, no one has time for hour and a half already went by, hour and 40 minutes, somewhere in there. We don't have another 2 hours. I mean, I have a kiddo, man. She's getting anxious. She's already been in 7-Eleven once. I'm like, oh boy. And I want her there if the police come, because I know she's young. She's 11, but still, just in case, that can be jotted down by the cops what her side is. I don't know. People can make decisions about their bodies nowadays at a young age. I think she can give a report, So they said, okay, you can. I said, I think we'll do that if he's okay with it. And I start walking towards the guy. He's pretty far away, but I walk. I said, can you repeat that to him so he knows I'm not lying? And she goes, yeah, I'm with the Colorado Springs Police Department, and you guys can just exchange information and go. And he goes, I told you we could do that, or whatever. I don't know. I do bad Russian accent, but just picture a Russian guy saying, I told you we could do that. I'm like, yeah, not until 911 tells me I can do that. I'm not just up and doing that, because that's not always the case. It must have been high accidents that day or something. So they had us do that. So I let him take a picture of my insurance on my phone and my driver's license. I took a picture of his driver's license, which turns out to be a Washington driver's license, and I don't see a chauffeur thing on it. So he's driving for hire on a Washington license, a Colorado vehicle that looks like it's owned by, it's in his wife's name, whose the insurance card ended in February of this year, of 2023. So hopefully it's just, he doesn't have the updated insurance, or I have uninsured motorists, so whatever. So I've reported all this to my insurance company. I wrote it up. I've mentioned about the Washington thing, that he's driving for hire a limo here in Colorado that doesn't have a front plate, that has limo tinting on the front, and that is a progressive. It was progressive he had. Didn't look like it was it was just the normal progressive like you would have as a consumer, not as a business. So I don't know if he even has the proper insurance on that vehicle for driving for hire. So there's that. So I pointed all that out to my insurance company. Point this stuff out, because it may dawn on the adjuster, who then their legal team, when they look at it, they might be like, oh, and they'll start investigating each of those things, right? Like, well, your client there is doing this, and this wrong. And the vehicle's not insured in his name. It's his wife that was on it, because it's a totally different name. Being Russian, I had to figure out what the last name was and all that. And then eventually the insurance is how I figured out what his last name was from the driver's license. Although we kind of laughed at the insurance end of things, that, although they just run in and pull up his name with the ID. But it has, says he lives in Washington. What's he doing here driving in Colorado? So this guy is just, and I don't say tongue in cheek, he's a class act, man. He's doing the, oh, it's your fault right off the bat. Well, hopefully he sticks with, I wonder if that dash cam footage disappears. I wonder if that disappears, because it clearly shows that he changed lanes. I have a feeling it's going to disappear. So what ended up happening is we exchanged information. I made sure he left first, because I didn't want him to hang around and then the cop happens to come in and be like, oh, where did he go? I didn't want that to occur. So he left he left first. I bullshitted with my buddy Aaron for a bit, and then I left. And yeah, that's where we are. I've reported to my insurance company. My insurance company's has been awesome. So the other thing you might not know, in Colorado, because of all the hail damage, we're backed up for repairs. Luckily, my vehicle is drivable. It would be better if it was totaled if you want to buy a vehicle, but at the same time, high interest rates, and plus, not just the high interest rate, high vehicle costs for a new vehicle. I don't get an AZ plan anymore. I can get X plan, but that's not as good of as AZ. And it would just be a hassle. And I basically own my vehicle. I think there's like 2 or 3 more payments, but I own my vehicle. So there's that too. And I don't necessarily want a new vehicle right now. I mean, yeah, it would be nice, right? I'm a human. I love new things. But at the same time, it's like, God dang it, no. At least he has significant damage. And Aaron thinks he might have had some unibody damage. It got squished maybe. And if he does, I mean, driving around like that, plus driving around for hire, and it looks like crap. And it's going to take him also January, February to get that fixed, or longer, depending on parts or what other damage there is. I think mostly it's cosmetic, but you know, there's always clips and little plastic things underneath. So like they say, it's gonna add up. I will say I'm very impressed with my bumper, that aftermarket bumper. I don't remember which one it is, but it held up great. I think the bumper might be able to get fixed, but it still has that big line in the front and stuff. So technically, I think they will give me a new bumper and the fog lights, and let's see, the new grille, headlights, hood, and that one side panel for sure, and then whatever little plastic bits are up under there. And I have a mechanic, luckily know somebody that can get me in quicker if I can get an estimate. He just can't write the initial estimate, but he can do supplementals for insurance. So as soon as insurance, and that's how I went, the insurance was nice. They're like, hey, let me try to speed this up, because I said the issue I'm having is finding somebody to give me an estimate. The estimate alone is, the soonest one is on the 26th, so in about another week. The next one is November 13th, and then December would be the other place. So 3 estimates lined up, but one of the gals, the last one I called that said December for an estimate, she goes, if you already have an estimate, we would just use that estimate to go off of. We just need an estimate. So they're booked up for estimates and then repairs. So if I can get that estimate, the insurance was like, yeah, we can do an in-house estimate, take pictures of everything. So I took all these detailed pictures. They kind of walk you through, AAA kind of walks you through like this angle, that angle, this angle. But then you can add pictures. So click the add, take a lot of extra pictures, and add, boom, take another picture. Take this one, take that one, take close-ups, do this. I added probably like 12 or so more additional pictures, maybe 15, I don't know, it was quite a bit. And I sent that over to them, so they have that, and she said a couple days. So Monday I will contact with the adjuster and see where we're at on that submitting of those photos and the estimate. And once I get their estimate, it can be anything. It can be like, hey, we looked at it, we're thinking $5,000. If they say from pictures it's $5,000, it's probably more. You know, it's probably like 8 or something. So then I'll take it to a guy I know, his shop.